The flames of vengeance burn hotter than any inferno. They consume everything in their path: morality, humanity, even the very soul of the one who wields them. Revenge is a path paved with blood, and those who walk it seldom return unscathed. This is the story of Cael Virel, a man wronged beyond measure, a warrior stripped of everything he held dear. His journey is not just one of retribution, but of self-discovery, of the battle between justice and blind fury. As Eldoria drowns in corruption and tyranny, one man rises from the ashes, his heart hardened by loss and his blade thirsty for justice. This is the tale of Tears of Fire. The city of Eldoria once stood as a beacon of prosperity and peace, ruled by a fair and just council. Among its greatest warriors was General Cael Virel, a man whose name inspired both admiration and fear on the battlefield. He had fought tirelessly to defend Eldoria from external threats, earning the trust of its people and the respect of its rulers. His life was one of honor, dedicated to his wife, Seraphina, and their young son, Elias. But honor was not enough to shield him from treachery. One fateful night, as Cael returned from a victorious campaign, he found his home engulfed in flames. The city guards, whom he had once commanded, now turned their blades upon him. Framed for treason, accused of plotting against the council, he was stripped of his rank and shackled like a common criminal. Before he could even plead his case, he was forced to watch his family perish in the fire, his cries of anguish drowned out by the laughter of his betrayer, Lord Dane Mortas. Sentenced to exile, Cael was cast into the wastelands, a barren expanse where few survived. The journey there was meant to kill him, but the fire in his heart burned stronger than the desert sun. Clutching the remnants of his shattered life, he swore that Dane Mortas would pay with his blood. Cael spent years in the wastelands, honing his survival instincts. His rage was a constant companion, keeping him alive when the harsh environment sought to break him. Through sheer will, he overcame the creatures that lurked in the shadows and the mercenaries who hunted him for sport. But survival was not enough. He needed to return, to reclaim his honor, and to avenge his family. During his exile, Cael encountered a network of outcasts, warriors, thieves, and scholars who had been banished by Eldoria's corrupt elite. United by their hatred for the ruling class, they became his allies. Among them was a mysterious assassin named Riven, a man with his own vendetta against Dain. Together, they forged a plan that would shake Eldoria to its core. Lord Dane Mortas had always been ambitious. A nobleman, born into power, he had long desired more than his station allowed. Cael, with his unwavering loyalty and influence among the people, had been an obstacle to Dane's rise. Thus, he orchestrated Cael's downfall, manipulating the council and feeding them lies. Once Cael was gone, Dane took control, ruling Eldoria with an iron fist, indulging in his every desire while the people suffered under heavy taxes and cruel decrees. He had no reason to fear Cael's return. After all, the wastelands had never let a man return alive. But fate had other plans. Cael knew he could not take Dane head-on. The tyrant had an army at his disposal, powerful allies, and eyes in every corner of the city. Instead, Cael and his newfound allies devised a meticulous plan. They would strike from the shadows, dismantling Dane's empire piece by piece. First, they would weaken his control by eliminating his key supporters. Then, they would incite the people to rise against him. And finally, Cael would face Dane himself, ensuring that justice was delivered by his own hand. The path of revenge was not without its costs. Cael found himself questioning whether he was any different from the man he sought to destroy. The blood on his hands grew heavier with each passing day, and as his enemies fell, he wondered if he was truly fighting for justice, or if he had become consumed by vengeance. Lyria, a healer from Eldoria who had once served his family, reminded him of the man he used to be. She saw the pain in his eyes, the torment of a soul trapped between righteousness and wrath. She warned him that vengeance was a fire that burned indiscriminately. But Kyle could not turn back. Not yet. Kale's mission was fraught with danger. Dane's soldiers patrolled every street, his spies whispered in every tavern, and mercenaries lurked in the shadows, waiting for an opportunity to claim the bounty on Kale's head. Even within his own ranks, trust was a fragile thing. One betrayal could unravel everything. A crucial setback came when one of his allies, driven by greed, sold their plans to Dane's forces. Kale and his rebels were ambushed, forced into a desperate battle. Many of his men perished, and Kale himself barely escaped with his life. The betrayal shook him to his core, forcing him to question who among his allies he could truly trust. In the end, Kale's journey was one of both triumph and sacrifice. He stood atop the ruins of Dane's empire, his blade dripping with the blood of his enemies, yet his soul felt no lighter. Vengeance had been served, but at what cost? The man he once was had been lost to the fire of his wrath. As Eldoria began to heal, Kale realized that revenge was not the end. It was merely another beginning. With the Dane dead, the city looked to Kale for leadership, but he refused the throne. He had fought for justice, not power. Instead, he left the city in the hands of those who truly sought to rebuild it. With one final glance at the home he had avenged, Kale disappeared into the horizon, a warrior with no master, a soul forever marked by fire and tears.